Locally owned Good Karma brand station.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityInvestments.com. Offscript Media has its eyes on the future of content. It's a vertically integrated and creator-powered media and commerce company that views itself as a one-stop shop for someone making content. Datavio Samuels is CEO of Offscript, and he says the company is focused on content creators in social.
Yeah, look, I think that social is the number one platform that matters. It's where all of the world's attention is. So often you're finding these people because they are popping or doing something really incredible in social. But when it comes to how can you help monetize them, how can you build them? Do they have real proof points that they can create long-form content that can sustain attention? YouTube is that space.
Offscript is charting new territory, taking the more traditional idea of an A&R at a record label and updating it for the digital age. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Friday, March 13th, 2026. On yesterday's program, either I or potentially our caller, because Eastside Corey called us yesterday. Love hearing from Eastside Corey. He's always so effervescent. He's glitter in human form. So he called us yesterday, and we were going on about the traffic calming measures that we have seen implemented in the city of Milwaukee going back to probably 2021 or 2022. Those of you that are familiar with them, they are everything from roundabouts to bump outs to narrowing driving lanes. There used to be 2 lanes, now there's 1. My most unpopular traffic calming measure are bike lanes. I don't like them because not that many people ride bikes in the neighborhoods in which they have been heavy-handed in placing those bike lanes. And what it tells me, and I could be wrong, is gentrification is coming. So I'm not really a fan of bike lanes, especially when some of them have been there for 5 years plus, and they are very underutilized by actual bike riders. And maybe that's wishful thinking on behalf of the city. If you make more bike lanes, more people will ride their bikes. If you build it, they will come, so to speak. But I'm not really a fan of the bike lane. So in all of the complaints that we have about how traffic has been altered because of the reckless driving, and then when you really think about it, we spent something like $75 million, or that was the last total that was made public on these traffic calming measures, which annoyed a lot of drivers, because if you're a reasonable driver and you don't speed and you don't weave in and out of traffic and you're not blowing through stoplights and stop signs and you're yielding when it says yield, then it would seem like a waste of money to spend $75 million, and I'm not even sure where we got the money from, on some of these traffic calming measures. But believe it or not, as annoying as they are, and they are annoying, especially the speed bumps, if you're not paying attention, they're going to get you. There might be a street that I haven't been on in a while. I seriously think in the years that I've been living in this city, I don't think there's a single, let me think real hard now. There might be a handful of like neighborhood streets, maybe a few dead-end streets, but I swear I've been on every single street in the city of Milwaukee at some point in time in my life. All the neighborhoods, north side, south side, far southeast, southwest side, I've been everywhere. Bayview, Inderis Park, I've been Sherman Park, I've been all over the place. But if there's a street I haven't been on in a while, then I'm driving the speed limit and doing my thing. Yes, I should be paying attention, but come on, I got to check that text message. And you hit that speed bump when you're not looking, and it just launches you into the stratosphere, and then you think you broke your vehicle. I'm not really a fan of those either, but all of those traffic calming measures, the roundabouts, the speed bumps, the bump outs, the narrowing of the lanes, the bike lanes, going from 2 lanes to 1, has paid off dividends because traffic fatalities in Milwaukee hit a 6-year low in 2025, thanks in part to recent efforts to improve traffic safety, city officials say. This comes courtesy of jsonline.com. In 2025, traffic fatalities on city streets were down 19% compared to 2024, from 70 to 57, and down 26% from the peak year of 2022, which saw, and this is an astronomically high number, because this is just the city of Milwaukee. This is not southeastern Wisconsin. It's not even including the 18 suburbs. Just in the city of Milwaukee, there were 77 traffic fatalities. That's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Quite honestly, with what speeds are in the city, unless you're on the highway, and I don't know if they even count highways as jurisdiction of the city, because the highways are jurisdiction of the State Patrol and Milwaukee County Sheriffs. The city does not operate any highways. Now, the highways cut through the city, but they are federal, they are state, and they are county jurisdiction. But the speeds in which we are traveling in the city, I'm not sure if there's a city speed limit in Milwaukee that exceeds 45 miles an hour. And if we do have 45-mile-an-hour speed limits, it's on thoroughfares like Good Hope, right? But the speeds that we travel in the city, there should be 0 traffic fatalities. Not to mention how much safer cars are. Cars have airbags now where they don't even need them. I'm waiting on vehicles to have airbags on outside of the vehicle. Like if you hit a person, then boop, your front bumper pops off and there's a front airbag that protects the person, the pedestrian that you may have hit. vehicles are incredibly safe. And so the fact that we had 77 traffic fatalities just a couple of years ago and now we are down to 57 means that maybe some of the investment, however inconvenient, and it is inconvenient. I told you I don't like the bike lanes. I don't want you bike people gentrifying my neighborhood. However, if gas prices continue to rise, more of you will probably be riding your bikes to work. There was some stuff on gas prices I wanted to share with you guys yesterday, but I wasn't able to get to it. The dollar amount that oil may reach per barrel, and from oil is your jet fuel, your diesel fuel, your gasoline that you need to power your vehicles, your lawnmowers, and this weekend, your snowblowers. So crude oil is the basis of that, and everything is basically priced using the dollar. So when you have $100 barrels of oil, you're looking at $3.50, $3.60, $3.70 per gallon. They're predicting oil could go up to as much as $200 per barrel, which will, on average, put gas prices north of $6 per gallon. So hopefully we'll be able to get to that because I want you guys to be aware of what this war is costing people that have literally nothing to do with it. So we'll table that discussion just for a moment. Quote, that progress is not accidental. It is the result of coordinated action across city government and in partnership with the community, Mayor Xavier Johnson said in a March 9th speech at South Division High School. Behind that coordinated action is the city's Office of Zero Vision. Vision Zero, which aims to completely reduce Milwaukee's annual number of traffic deaths to, as you would have guessed, 0. Introduced to Milwaukee in 2022, Vision Zero is an international initiative focused on eliminating traffic deaths and injuries by improving street safety and curbing reckless driving. Let me give Xavier Johnson some credit. We probably one of these days should do a YouTube poll on how you feel about the mayor. We're not doing that today. Today we got a different YouTube poll that is a part of a discussion I'm going to have in the next couple of segments. Should the Milwaukee Police Department provide security in Milwaukee public schools? I know a lot of you have already answered that question. In fact, it was litigated by the MPS School Board in 2016. I don't know if this is the same district in 2026 that it was 10 years ago. So we did have MPD providing some safety services in MPS schools 10 years ago. In fact, there was a contract between the district and Milwaukee's Finest. The school board at the time opted to not renew that contract. A lot of people think it was because of the defund the police era, and maybe it was, but the district also was not getting a return on its investment for what it was paying to have on-duty police officers provide security in schools. And then you have the unintended consequences. You know, sometimes with police, if they're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. It's a faster entryway for some of these children to be in the criminal justice system because discipline that could be handled in the confines of the school now is a law enforcement issue. So there was some inconsistencies, to say the least. Well, I got a story I'm going to share with you on a little bit that has me rethinking. Maybe we should have cops providing security in some of these schools, at least better trained safety and security staff. Again, I'm going to table that discussion as well because we are focused on the drastic reduction in traffic fatalities in the city of Milwaukee. And I think that this is a win. It's a win for the mayor because, let's be honest, Xavier Johnson needed a political win. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but things like this are positive accomplishments that mayors often strive during their tenure. Milwaukee city officials held the March 9th news conference at South Division High School to highlight the positive impacts of recent road construction, updates to West Lapham Avenue, said Tiffany Shepard, who is the communications officer for the city's Department of Public Works. So I'm going to take a break. When I come back, they have a list of 34 different projects where they installed a bump out or a speed bump, or they narrowed the traffic lane. So the city has this website, and they broke out 34 different areas that were targeted for this reduction in speed and trying to curb reckless driving. And then they have the associated statistics with, well, did it reduce speed? Did it reduce the number of accidents? And it's actually a really, really positive set of numbers. So where you see the bump outs and the narrowing of the traffic lanes and the speed bumps and the roundabouts, which I know is very annoying, but after a while you get used to them. And the city has a website where they break out project by project what the results were of putting in those traffic calming measures. And I think this is a really, really good thing, because all of us want to feel safe when we're driving our vehicles, especially folks that are coming in from out of town. And we love tourists here in Milwaukee. We want you to come here, spend money, get drunk, maybe get laid. I don't know what you're here for. That's fine. Enjoy Milwaukee. We want you to feel safe. We want you to come back. The next paycheck you get, spend all your money here, because we love your tax revenue. Now, we don't need all of you to stay. We don't need everybody to want to live here, because some of you, gross. But come and spend money. Go to different events. Go to restaurants. Go to art museums. Or we're going to be talking about all of the things to do in the city, because, it's Friday. And at 11 a.m., we do the Milwaukee experience, while the weekend is going to be inundated with drunk Irish people, because this is when they're celebrating the St. Patrick's Day. What if you don't want to be Irish and drunk? I'm going to give you some alternatives to St. Patrick's Day celebrations that are going on in case you want to do something, a little more chill. Because the Irish get drunk and fight everybody. No, don't come for me. Look at the Notre Dame mascot. It's a little leprechaun with his dukes up. So Irish people all look like the Notre Dame mascot. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on a special Friday edition. I don't even know what makes it special. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Girl, don't leave me here. Leave me here all alone. Won't you say that it ain't so? Say it ain't so. Girl, let me hold you close. Give you my
So this right here, right? This is some classic 90s sounding R&B. In fact, this guy, whose name I can barely pronounce, Sinkemani, I think that's it. Sinkemani. Sounds like Johnny Gill a little bit, right? Yo, this is a white dude from Texas. Whoever would have guessed that? Xavier, I know you wouldn't have guessed this was a white fella from Texas.
I'm not surprised these days.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Their cultural appropriation is now becoming a little bit more authentic. Shout out to the whites that...
Elvis?
I don't... He was more... Elvis spent time with black people, though. So his thefts, which with hindsight being 2020, it's easy to say anybody from that era that emulated or looked up to or appreciated black music and the blues structure, which damn near all music is built off of. It's easy now to look back and say, oh, yeah, he stole it all. Just like we look back at the 1994 crime bill and say, oh, it was racist. Elvis actually spent time with black musical artists. Like a lot of time. I think him and B.B. King were buddies. Elvis, though, was unique in that his music wasn't that good. It wasn't. Elvis was overrated, but so were the Beatles. Oh, you want to make the whites mad? other than saying you're going to vote for a Democrat, there's one more thing you can do to make them like universally angry. Tell them that the Beatles suck. They weren't that good. They weren't. They were not all that talented. But what Elvis did is he brought our style of blues to the masses because, you know, radio used to be segregated. Really fascinating story on how black artists would come up with incredible music. Like Chuck Berry and Little Richard is all you need to know. But it wouldn't be played on white radio. So if you had, say, a guy named Pat Boone, who was as white bread as you could possibly get, steal the song Tutti Frutti, black artists would never know. And white radio listeners would think that Pat Boone actually wrote, arranged, produced that song. So there's a history of them stealing from us, but music it's a really fascinating subject to study. But also during the 1940s and the 1950s, there were a number of disc jockeys out of Memphis, Tennessee, that they knew that white kids were listening to black radio stations. They knew it. And they would tuck in like little like messages of unity and pro-civil rights messages. They would like tuck it in between songs. And actually we credit this medium of radio for helping to integrate the country. Because when you're listening to music, you can listen to music with people of all different cultures and ethnicities and religions and all of that good stuff too. I just discovered a new genre of music that I didn't even know existed. It is an Indian fella. Indian, like the country of India. And he plays a sitar. You guys know what a sitar is? It's a traditional stringed Indian instrument. And he remakes 1990s hip-hop classics on the sitar, and he sings them. It's so good. It's so good. Would I call that cultural appropriation? Everybody has their own interpretation of art, but also art is for everybody. Right? If I make a great song or a great movie or some great production, I kind of want people to emulate it. I want them to mock it. I want them to have their own versions of it because then, as the creator, it's validation that you sparked somebody else's interest. Let's talk to that one guy. I see you're getting a little bit more comfortable with calling in that one guy.
Yeah, I'm not shaking as much anymore.
Why would you shake? It's just a telephone conversation, brother.
I'm a very nervous person.
Oh,
anyways,
right.
Robert Palmer. So I'm sure you know about him. So I believe in the 80s or 90s, he went down south, I believe Mississippi. He went around all these small pubs and taverns looking for like local musicians to see what kind of music they played. He discovered this guy called Junior Kimbrough. Look him up when you got the chance. Junior Kimbrough. He discovered him, and he kind of like brought him up to light. But it wasn't until like the early 90s that Junior Kimbrough got to make his first album. And one of them is called I Love You, Baby. That's one of his songs, one of my favorite songs by him. But yeah, dude, I like the topic you picked.
This isn't even the topic. I'm talking about traffic calming measures that led to a reduction in fatalities. The music was a sidebar. But no, thank you. What's his name? Billy Kimbrough? Johnny Kimbrough?
Junior Kimbrough.
Junior Kimbrough. And Robert Palmer, you say.
I love you, baby.
Oh, well, I love you too, baby. All right, then. That's
a good song by him.
Okay.
All right, take it easy.
All right, then. You too. Is the ADHD an epidemic? Is it me? Am I the one that can't stay on topic? Because there I'm thinking, I've got my show all laid out, and we're going to talk about the reduction of traffic fatalities because of the calming measures and the engineering that we've seen in the city of Milwaukee. And now I know about Junior Kimbrough.
Sometimes I throw you off a little bit, I think.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, I end up coming back anyway. But also, talk radio I don't like talk radio for a variety of reasons. But I make talk radio for people that don't like it because it generally sucks. Like, why would you sit and just listen to somebody else's opinions? Because they're probably stupid. You know what I mean? You guys don't ever listen to talk radio and hear somebody like, ugh, you're an idiot. Why'd they give you a microphone? I try to be less of that. I try to elicit less of the, ugh, that guy is stupid response. So I might drift and go off topic, but I'll bring it back. I'll always bring it back. Milwaukee City officials held a March 9th news conference at South Division High School to highlight the positive impacts of recent road construction updates all across the city. And so, all right, here we go. So the street improvements on North 35th Street from Townsend to Congress, and I don't know what they put in. It says pinned on concrete bump outs and median refuge islands at intersections, which was completed in 2023. That has resulted in a 42% reduction in that stretch of 35th Street between Townsend and Congress, which we know is on the north side. That's very good. There were 78 crashes before those bump outs and median refuge islands were installed. Afterwards, there was 45, which is a 42% reduction. 35th Street between Highland and Cherry, there has been a 19% reduction in speeding. There has been a 67% decrease in more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit speeding. So what did they do on 35th Street between Highland Boulevard and West Cherry? They reduced driving lanes from 4 to 2. 4 is too many. Nobody in the city of Milwaukee needs that many options. They reduced the driving lanes from 4 to 2, pinned on concrete bump outs, created refuge islands at some intersections, and all of that construction was completed in 2023. And it led to a 22% reduction in crashes, a 19% reduction in speeding, a 67% reduction in speeding 10 miles an hour over the limit. But, it did lead to a positive change in injury crashes. There were 5 before the construction. Now there's 8. So that's a negative, I suppose. What else did they do? 35th Street, South 35th Street, from West Oklahoma Avenue to West Forest Home. I will say that is not my neck of the woods. However, maybe the folks that live in that area on South 35th Street, they saw an uptick in reckless driving, and so they did some pinned-on concrete bump outs and created refuge islands, and that led to a 7% reduction in speeding, a 44% reduction in speeding more than 10 miles an hour over the limit. First of all, if you're going less than 10 over, is that really speeding? Like, come on. Let me not get myself in trouble, but just between us, residential neighborhoods, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. Maybe it's 30 in some places, but for the most part, it's understood that in residential neighborhoods, speed limit is 25 miles an hour. That's too slow. That's 30 is more. It's reasonable, because if I'm going 25 miles an hour, why am I driving? I could walk. This is very slow. Did I tell you guys about my Uber experiences last weekend? So I went out for my birthday. This was Friday night. I said, I'm going to be a responsible person. Let me rephrase that. I'm responsible all of the time. So Friday night, I went to meet some friends for my birthday, you see. I took an Uber. I don't know if I'll ever take an Uber again, because not only did the vehicle smell horrible, okay, it was like, what do you say? When you get into the Uber, and honestly, and let me remove the stereotype from this statement, legitimately smelled like wet dog. Like he had a pack of hunting dogs that hunted ducks in the rain for 10 hours, and then he transported the hunting dogs in his vehicle, is what it smelled like. And so I get in the vehicle, I'm just like, oh, God, I'm going to die. And then he starts on his way, and he takes the side streets. Now, I live on the north side. I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from the freeway. This dude, not only does he proceed to take the side streets, he is going less than 25 miles an hour. And I said, because I had to keep quiet, because, you know, me, once I get started talking, I might blurt something out, and next thing you know, he's giving me 1 star. Now I got to fight this dude. And I'm not trying to fight an Uber driver, because I think they got cameras in their vehicles. So to mitigate how incredibly slow he was driving, I was like, hey, buddy, if you make a right up here, we can hop right on the freeway. And you know what this dude told me? In the vehicle that smelled like a pack of wet hunting dogs were his previous passengers?
Well, no, the GPS is telling me that there might be a little spot of traffic, so we're going to go. I was like, okay, no, sometimes the GPS is wrong, buddy. And this is a freeway route that I sometimes take 2 and or 3 times per day. I am very familiar with Milwaukee traffic patterns on this particular stretch of highway. Now, I'm trying to tell this dude, because I'm the one paying him. I was like, hey, can we get on the freeway? Well, probably not the best idea.
It took us probably almost 30 minutes to get downtown when it should have taken 7. Okay, so that was on my way there. So when I get to my destination, I'm in a bad mood. Didn't really have a late night on Friday. Called an Uber to take me home. The Uber on the way home was even worse. He got on the highway and went the wrong way. So I just, like, what do you do? Do you say, I've never been in a, what's the other one? The Lyft.
That's a better company.
Yeah, but I heard that's like for poor people. Is it?
No, Uber is for poor people.
Oh, God, no, it isn't. Lyft doesn't have black and the limo services and the SUVs, does it?
Yeah, it has all that.
Oh, it didn't used to. It used to be like, remember what, well, you wouldn't remember, what Aldi was in the 90s? It was just poverty. Now Aldi is fancy. Aldi didn't used to be.
I've always used Lyft. Never had a problem.
All right. Well, maybe I got it.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, that was a rookie mistake doing Uber. Uber lets anyone.
I've never.
Higher standards.
I have a history, though, with Uber. So when they first came to Milwaukee in 2014, they had a regional manager who was out of Chicago. And nobody had ever heard, in Milwaukee, we did not know what Uber was. So the regional manager came to Milwaukee, and he did a bunch of, meetings and interviews with people trying to spread the word about this new. They never call it a ride sharing company. They call it, it's a technology company, right? Just like McDonald's is not a fast food company. McDonald's is a real estate company. McDonald's doesn't make its money off of hamburgers. McDonald's, as a corporation, makes its money off of the franchisees that lease the land that the McDonald's is on. And what McDonald's found is that the way you can make land more profitable is to sell hamburgers and cheeseburgers to fat people. It's just brilliant genius. So the guy comes to my radio show at the time in WNOV and talks about this new ride-sharing / technology company called Uber. And here's what he did. So back then, Uber only had black, so the top level, so the limousines and SUVs, because they didn't start with the lower-tiered, less expensive vehicles. So Uber was all like the high-end vehicles, big SUVs, Lincolns, etc. He gave me $500 worth of credits to try it out, and I fell in love with it. But it was different back then in the early days. Now it's just, as you said, Xavier, it's anybody. It's people that transport wet dogs in their vehicles, and people that he's literally, because they have the phone with the GPS on it right there, and it was an older black guy, and I felt bad. I was like, oh, this is a brother. I don't want to say nothing to him because he's a black man. I need to support him. I gave his black ass 1 star too, so anybody can get it. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Thank you, Milwaukee. Because of you, the 2nd Annual Truth Community Awards was an unforgettable celebration of the leaders, changemakers, and heroes who make our city shine. A special thank you to our incredible partners, Milwaukee College Prep, the Milwaukee Bucks Foundation, Gruber Law Offices, Steinhoffels, Cousins Subs, and 3rd Street Market Hall. And thank you to our presenting sponsor, Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Together, we're celebrating community, culture, and impact. We'll see you next year at the Truth Community Awards.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Many of our most important memories are made at school. But for children like Victoria, the classroom can be a place of fear and isolation. She wore a bandage over her cleft every day, too shy to speak, too afraid to smile. Everything changed after one life-transforming surgery made possible by Smile Train. Today, Victoria's smile lights up her classroom, a symbol of confidence, connection, and new beginnings. Due to stigma, children with untreated clefts often miss out on school entirely. But thanks to Smile Train, students like Victoria are stepping into the classroom, raising their hands, and finding their voice. Smile Train partners with local experts to support with free cleft surgeries and other comprehensive care, empowering children to thrive in school and in life. Let's help every child walk into the classroom with confidence. Visit smiletrain.org/learn.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number, if you're so inclined, is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. We are discussing, I guess everything, but the traffic calming measures that we have seen implemented in the city of Milwaukee over the last, 3 or 4 years to combat and to reduce reckless driving has shown measurable decreases in speeding, especially speeding over 10 miles an hour, and a marked decrease in traffic fatalities. Quote, speed is a very good proxy for survivability of crashes and the likelihood of crashes, says Milwaukee City Engineer Kevin Hughes. So we collect before and after speed data for basically any project that we do that has the intent on improving safety, which is most of the projects we're doing these days. Muse pointed to the dashboard's overview of the West Lapham Avenue project as an example of a successful road safety project. As the dashboard data shows, since the project was completed in 2023, speeding decreased nearly 70%, and speeding above 10 miles in excess of the speed limit essentially disappeared. Injury crashes were cut nearly in half, from an average of 11 per year prior to the project to about 6 per year after the project. On average, out of the projects completed since 2022 that the city of Milwaukee has data for, there was a 15% decline in crashes and a 32% decline in speeding, according to the dashboard. I am also hoping that with the focus that we have had on reckless driving in this city over the past several years, there also has been more resources poured into driver's education. A lot of people never took driver's ed. I took driver's ed. No, we had to take private driver's ed because they removed it from our high school curriculum, like literally the year before I got to Brown Deer High School. Most schools back in the day, and some of you can recall the glory days, you took driver's ed as a part of your high school curriculum, and you got credit toward graduation for taking your driver's ed class. But like so many things that were once successful in school districts, MPS notwithstanding, they took them out. There used to be the trades in the schools. Now, if you want to get involved in a trade, you have to go to a trade and technical school and pay tuition, where prior to, you could get a lot of trade education. In fact, a generation or so ago, you could get a lot of trade education in the high school you attended, and then get a job in the real world at the age of 18. But a lot of those things were removed, not just the cost, but we had this focus on testing. And if you have these extracurriculars, even if they're job readiness programs, and I believe the trades in the schools are job readiness programs, but if you focus on testing, you may not have the resources to have the additional reading specialists and tutors and all the other money you have to pour into getting test scores to go up. I don't know how, I'm an old person, but I wasn't always old. I used to be quite cool in my younger days. Hell, I'm still cool now. But we used to cheat on tests. We all got good grades on our tests. With all of the internet and all of the smartphones and all of the cell phones and all of the AI and all of the Google, why are kids not cheating on their tests? Now listen, I'm not telling kids to cheat on their tests, but we used to cheat a lot. Can I tell you guys what I did? Are you guys going to get offended? Okay, fat shaming is bad, right? Fat shaming is not a good thing. You're not supposed to fat shame people.
It's not politically correct.
I don't even know where political correctness even came from. It made people of a younger generation think that there wasn't bigotry, sexism, misogyny, and racism because people still felt that way and they vote that way. They just don't say it. So I think being politically correct handicapped a whole generation of people. Like, I remember white people that could say the N-word freely and they wouldn't lose anything. They wouldn't lose a job. They wouldn't be, in any kind of social media trouble. I remember those days, and that formed like who I am. I remember, in fact, some of y'all's parents used to use the N-word so very, very freely. So there was this fat girl that sat in front of me in German class, right? She was. I'm fat too, so chill out. And she had a very wide back, okay? And we sat in rows. I took 3 years of German, for those of you that don't know. I know, weird, right? His name is Sherwin, and he speaks a little German. So I almost said her name. Well, she's not fat anymore. I think she got those GLP-1s, the fat reducer, the drug. Because I'm still friends with a lot of people I went to high school with on social media. And plus, we just had a lot of us reconnected when we had our 30th reunion in 2023. So she's not fat anymore. She's very skinny. So I think she either got the gastric bypass. She lost like 150 pounds. I didn't even recognize her when I saw her. But she used to sit in front of me in German class. And our teacher was very old. I come to find out that my German teacher lived to be like 95. She just died in like 2014 or 2015. Crazy, right? But our teacher, she was old at the time. And she didn't really walk around much. And so we'd have our tests. We were tested weekly in German class. And it was a lot of vocabulary. And it's hard to remember. You got to study intensively to remember all the vocabulary words. So we knew what was going to be on the test. We knew what chapters and what units we were going to be tested on Thursdays or Fridays or whatever day of the week the tests were. So I would take a piece of loose leaf paper and I would write all of the vocabulary words that we were going to be tested on the test. And I would write them all down on this piece of loose leaf paper, right? I think how many lines you got on a piece of loose leaf? 21, 26 lines. So I would fill up the loose leaf paper with all of the vocabulary words. And I would tape it to the fat girl's back that sat in front of me. And I would just look up and I said, oh, yes, Guten Morgen. Oh, yes, Freundin. Oh, okay. And I would just be looking because her back was wide. And so I could tape my answers on a piece of loose leaf paper to her back and just look up and read the answers. But then there was one time where I forgot to take it off of her back, and then she went down the hallway with German vocabulary words on her back. But this was a long time ago. The world was very different in the 1990s, and if you weren't there for that decade, don't criticize me. Everything was different. The whole planet was different.
She couldn't feel that?
Oh, God, no. No, I would just lightly, if you have a piece of Scotch tape at the top of a piece of loose leaf paper, you could just like feather touch it. And she used to wear this pink sweater. And I remember the contrast of the white loose leaf paper contrasting with her pink sweater. I would just lightly I wouldn't like press it on. I just needed it to stick in front of my face. So I'm just saying I did well on tests because we used to cheat. And the kids nowadays, they don't cheat. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, broadcasting live from the city of Milwaukee where traffic fatalities are down. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Feeling lucky? Then roll into Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee this March for Lucky Rollers. Every Thursday, we're giving away over $70,000 in prizes. Play with your Potawatomi rewards card for entries, and you could roll out with $550 in reward play. Or get lucky and win your share of $16,000 in cash. Lucky Rollers, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
We titled the program today Sticker Shock, because some of you are likely going to experience, if you haven't already, some sticker shock at the gas pump, because gas prices are going to go up as the Straits of Hormuz are blocked and will be blocked for the foreseeable future. That's 20% of the world's oil and natural gas supply, which will be cut off. There are some nations like Japan where they receive 90+% of all of their oil and natural gas they need to fuel their economy through the Straits of Hormuz. And within 5 to 6 months, Japan will have a complete financial economic collapse. The supreme leader of Iran said the straits will remain closed until the bombing stops. And you also should know that Pete Hegseth said the bombing is going to increase, as he says, every single day. So you're going to experience some sticker shock. But then I wanted to take the concept a little bit further. Yesterday I did a comparison, which really isn't a comparison because they are apples and oranges. At least they are to me. Sports talk radio, which is very popular with a particular demographic of listener. I personally don't get it because I don't need someone to explain to me the game that I just watched. I know the trades and the trade deadlines and the contracts. Like, I can see all that stuff myself. And also, look, I'm a Packer fan. But if the Packers don't go to the Super Bowl, no one is going to die. But if we are misinformed about policy and politics, voting and elections, if the wrong president gets elected, somebody will die. So the two forms of communication, while they serve unique purposes, are not the same. And so as I was thinking, I'm giving you guys a little insight into my process of how I come up with stuff to talk about every single day. Some days I don't know how I come up with something to talk about because some days I don't really talk about much of anything. But thank you for listening regardless. Some presidents make your life more expensive with the policies they support and their perspectives on economics, economic development, and how they create and how they sign into law certain budgets. So I'm going to give you a list of presidents that have given us sticker shock, meaning while they were serving at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, things directly attributed to that president made things much more expensive for us. But then to contrast that, there have been presidents that have made things not only more affordable, but there has been and have been measurable increases in wages and health care benefits, et cetera. So I'm looking forward to sharing that information with you as well. And then I also wanted to throw in another variable for good measure. Also because of the policies supported by a particular political party. And I'm going to be objective when I talk about this stuff, because in some of the research that I did, Republican presidents actually came out on top a couple of times. I wanted to look at deaths because elections are, and I hope you guys realize this now, they are life or death. Depending upon who gets elected, some Americans will die because of a loss of a job with a contracting economy, because of a loss of health care subsidies, and we can measure death. Ronald Reagan, when he was president, didn't even utter the words AIDS or HIV until like 1987, where 100,000 people had already died. So I looked at, going back to Ronald Reagan, I don't want to go back too far before that because the world was too dramatically different in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s because African Americans were not a robust enough political cohort for me to accurately look at those presidential administrations. So I started with Reagan. Which presidents saved and extended Americans' lives? And which presidents shortened or killed Americans, including sending us off to war? And I think the information that I came up with is fascinating because I'm going to have to start making the case, and I'm not entirely sure how, to get people to vote in the largest numbers that they ever have come this August for primaries and this November for general elections to overwhelm a system in which this president will cheat. He will. He's making it known. Now, he's trying to do it legislatively with the SAVE Act. But because of the filibuster and the lack of political will to remove it, the SAVE Act is not going to get through the U.S. Senate. And so he's trying to do it legislatively to commandeer and to steal and to steer the midterm elections in his favor. But he'll just go have the FBI raid the ballot machines. That is going to happen. And somebody called either this week or last week and asked me, oh, Sherwin, what can we do? It's not a whole hell of a lot other than make sure that everybody we have any kind of influence over is register to vote and actually cast a ballot. But cast a ballot for the right candidate? We are not prepared for what we are about to see because it's never happened in America before. So best case scenario is that the ballots are so overwhelming in favor of one person or one political party versus the other that cheating or trying to overturn some of these elections would be a virtual impossibility. I'm worried about Wisconsin because our elections statewide are decided by 30,000 votes, and this is going back to 2016. And most of our statewide, if not all of our statewide contests, going back to the last time Wisconsin was decided decisively in a statewide contest, especially for president, was the black guy, was Barack Obama. The people voted for him overwhelmingly. It wasn't even close. There was no allegation of voter fraud. There was no recalls or recounts. Barack Obama won this state decisively both in 2008 and 2012, but since then it's been very, very close between the Democrats and the Republicans. So the influence that a Trump Department of Justice and or FBI or whoever, the CIA that comes and commandeers our voting machines, could overturn or find fault in 30,000 votes out of better than 3 million that will be cast. So I want to make sure that we are as prepared as possible. But also the Democrats, and I hope you're listening, y'all going to have to help me out. You're going to have to give me policies that move and then motivate people. If you've noticed, I have not had any of the Democratic candidates running for governor on this show because I just don't want to. Because they're talking about policy and issues as if the world is not on fire. So until one of the 7 Democrats lights that fire and appears a little bit more animated, you ain't gonna hear him on my show. You might gotta listen to Tory Lowe. Tory Lowe interviewed Kelda. I've been knowing Kelda for a quarter century. Actually, I ain't talking to Kelda on this show. I gotta take a break though. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
This is 101.7 The Truth's Kyle Wallace, and I am Milwaukee. I take great pride in being a 414 boy and representing the city that I love. The great memories I have of going to Northtown Cinema to see movies with family and friends, to going to Capitol Court to see the Black Santa Claus, this city has helped shape me into the man that I am today, and I pledge to utilize my voice as a way to advocate for you in our community. Join the home of Milwaukee's realest conversations where you can speak your truth. We are the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020.
And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. And you think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
Listen to the home of the 5K Gruber Cash Giveaway. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Come on, I show you.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. A frequent topic on this program, and probably others, I know Dr. Ken talks about education quite a bit, is how we invest in the intellectual capabilities and capacities of our young people, because we have got to create a workforce. If we're not going to be accepting immigrants in this country, at least not for the foreseeable future. And here's what's crazy. So this has been probably one of the more, I don't agree with how they've executed their immigration policy, but a lot of people voted for closing the border. A lot of people did, whether you like it or not. Democrats, I think, see the border differently. Like, hey, let's allow people in. If you're a refugee or if you're, escaping terrorism or tyranny, you can come to America and we'll, as long as you're not violent, we'll sit you here for a while and we'll figure out what to do with you. In the meantime, work a low-wage job and help fuel the American economy. Moving forward, I think because the Trump administration and just Republicans writ large have been so anti-immigrant that I don't know if a Democrat can run for office, especially president, and say, yeah, let's open the border again and welcome all people. I think it'll be a while before we get to that point. But if we're not going to be importing people, especially workers, that have specialized skills that some Americans simply don't have, and we're going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, for people to immigrate to the United States, then we've got to create a workforce here, meaning we have to double down on finding out what works when it comes to educating kids versus what does not. And there are things that work, and zip code doesn't matter, and poverty doesn't matter. Poor kids have been learning since the beginning of time. In fact, most of the learned people that we know about who've had profound impacts and influences on the world came from a poverty background. Dr. King didn't inherit millions and millions of dollars, and I would argue he was probably the most profound intellectual of the entire 20th century. Fight me on that one. So we are, as we should be, focused on creating a workforce that is technologically sophisticated, that can lead us into the future, because we here in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin are not just competitive against our neighbors in Minnesota or Iowa or Illinois. We are competitive against Canada, Mexico, Thailand, China, Japan, etc. So we take education very seriously, especially because we, as taxpayers, are on the hook for it. But it's supposed to be an investment. Of all of the different angles that we have discussed when it comes to MPS, school safety doesn't get nearly as much attention as, say, when the report card comes out, the MPS report card, the public school report card, and we lament over the low reading scores, reading comprehension, and the math scores, with reading and math just clearly being the most important. And we see the number of children that are proficient. Like, proficient is like, okay, you're in sixth grade, you can do sixth grade-ish stuff. The number of children that fall below proficiency, it's alarming. So we focus on that. But safety needs to be a priority as well. And so we also don't experience, or at least not with the same frequency, of like school shootings and mass shootings in Central City schools. And this is all over the country. So if you have a majority black school, the prevalence of school shooters, it is a lot lower. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's exceedingly rare. Oftentimes when we hear, right in the background, we might be having, might have the news or the TV on, and we hear about a school shooting, we automatically make some assumptions, right? It's rarely us. In fact, there was a story, it's probably from 89 or 90, from Detroit. This is when the crack epidemic that black people still like to use as an excuse to this day as to why we are not performing better than we are. It was in full swing, especially in Detroit. And there was a freshman in high school who was walking home from school. He only lived a couple of blocks away. And there were some gangs that were arguing, and then they started shooting at each other. And this child, I'll never forget this story, was about halfway home. So they were right in the middle between home in the neighborhood or the school. And the child ran to the safest place that they knew, which was the school, because there was an either expectation or a prediction that in majority black schools in Central City neighborhoods in urban America, that the violence that was taking place in the community outside of the school would seep its way into the schools. So these schools in Detroit were the first to have those steel doors that you could only open from the inside and metal detectors. And I found that very fascinating, that the child felt safer at school than they did going home. And so I think that has kept a lot of African American and minority children safe, because there's an expectation that these little black and brown kids are going to be blowing each other away in their classrooms, and that simply is not the case. And that's why I believe you have a lower prevalence of school shootings when the schools are majority black and majority brown than when they are majority white. And so then the question is, why wouldn't majority white suburban schools, especially in higher income areas, because if you think about it, it's not always poor rural white schools where you have a school shooting. It's upper class. It's upper middle class. It's wealthy suburbs where you have some of these school shootings. And so you would wonder, why wouldn't parents, community members, the school board want to put life-saving measures in these schools? Even to this day, we know that having a certain kind of door and having metal detectors where every child that comes to class every single day gets wanded and they go through a metal detector, we know for an absolute fact that it prevents school shootings, prevents them. But why wouldn't they do that? And the cost would be menial, thinking about how much money these very wealthy school districts have to invest in education. Like, the cost of saving a child's life there's no price tag on that. The reason why they don't have metal detectors and other life-saving measures in these schools is because they don't want to have the same appearance of Central City schools. This is the craziest thing ever. They're willing to let children die. Because if you notice, even after a school shooting, all they do is just like hire a couple cops to be in school. They would rather do mass shooter drills, which when I look at this practically and logically, I swear some consulting firm convinced some corrupt official at the U.S. Department of Education, and they got a contract to create mass shooter drills that would be implemented in school districts and in schools all over the country and make them required and mandatory, because they make no sense. Because the school shooter is familiar with the mass shooter drill, because the child that likely is the shooter is in the classroom. And they don't, hey kids, go in this corner and use a desk as a shield. That was like the duck and cover exercises that the baby boomers did, because they lived under constant threat of nuclear war. Well, I guess we did too, as Generation X, but they were less overt with us. You guys remember doing tornado drills? There's no damn tornadoes in Milwaukee. Tornado drills were the next generation's duck and cover. So for those of you who don't remember or don't know what duck and cover is, So post-Cuban Missile Crisis, America thought, like, oh, we're going to get blown away by the Russians because of nuclear war or whatever. World War II freaked out a lot of people because we saw what it did to Japan. Japan still ain't right, quite honestly, but they forgave us. In fact, I think it was Barack Obama that apologized. If I'm not mistaken, I think he went over there and said he was sorry for what America did exploding 2 nuclear weapons, which was really mean. Now, I say that because you know where you should have exploded the nuclear weapons? Nazi Germany. But even then, America was like, nah, they're white. I mean, they're real, Nazis are bad. Like, we'll fight them with guns. We'll boom, 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 boom. We'll shoot them and get, like, cannons and airplanes, but we're not going to nuke them because, they deserve a second chance at life. But we'll nuke those Japs. That's what we'll do. So the duck and cover was, if the sirens went off and a nuclear war commenced in America, they told kids to just hide under their desk because a 50 megaton blast could be survivable if you just get under your desk. So it was ridiculous. So what we did, the next generation, is we went into bomb shelters, tornado drills, which I'm sure some of you remember and some of you probably did not know that when we went into those tornado drills, that was the next generation's response to the potential of nuclear war. I said all that to say this. We want the children to be safe, but we have more concern about the performance of children in our public schools more than their safety, and that leads us to the YouTube poll question that we have today. If you haven't done so already, my pretties, go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 1017 The Truth. Hit subscribe. And not only will you be able to stream all of our programs, you'll be able to join the chat, but then also vote in our YouTube poll. And the question is very simple. It's a yes or no because I don't want to challenge you too much. Plus, it's a Friday. Should the Milwaukee Police Department provide school security? Even though we already litigated this and there was a contract that the district had with the Milwaukee Police Department prior to 2016, where we did, in fact, have uniformed officers providing safety and security in some of our MPS schools. Then there was the whole defund the police movement, and maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it just wasn't worth the investment we're making to have cops in the schools, because we also don't want kids to directly enter the criminal justice system right there from school, because we do have a school-to-prison pipeline. And so the police were removed. Now, Act 12, the piece of legislation signed by Governor Tony Evers that gave Milwaukee and other cities more shared revenue, but then also required the city of Milwaukee to raise its sales taxes to pay for our pension obligations, had a little paragraph tucked in that legislation that Milwaukee was required to bring the police back into the schools. Also in Act 12, we in the city of Milwaukee have a requirement to have at least 1,650 police officers, and if we do not meet that number, we will get our shared revenue clawed back. And, of course, these are Republican proposals. And the reason why they did this, it's not because they care about the safety of our kids. They don't. Because if they did, they would make different investments with the state budget, which the Republicans control. They want to increase the power of the police union. So if you require the city of Milwaukee to have a minimum number of cops, then the number of officers is going to grow. So is the political strength of their union. And you guys know that police unions always vote for and support and raise money for Republican candidates. But the 25 school safety officers that are uniformed Milwaukee police officers is also a requirement. And they did that against the best wishes of Milwaukee because the Republicans knew that we canceled the contract with the Milwaukee Police Department in 2016 that we decided, or our board members decided, we didn't want the cops in the schools. I'm starting to rethink that. I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, there was a situation that happened at the German immersion school, and it's on like 84th and Burleigh. And I'm going to talk about that situation when I get back from our brief intermission because it has me rethinking school safety. So go to our YouTube poll and vote. Do you think the Milwaukee Police Department should provide school safety? 70% of you say yes. So that's not a small number. Let's talk about the story that has me rethinking why I think we should have uniformed officers in schools. Once again, The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Thank you, Milwaukee. Because of you, the second annual Truth Community Awards was an unforgettable celebration of the leaders, changemakers, and heroes who make our city shine. A special thank you to our incredible partners, Milwaukee College Prep, the Milwaukee Bucks Foundation, Gruber Law Offices, Steinhoffels, Cousins Subs, and 3rd Street Market Hall. And thank you to our presenting sponsor, Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Together, we're celebrating community, culture, and impact. We'll see you next year at the Truth Community Awards.
Hey, Truth Nation, it's your girl DT. You want to mark your calendar Saturday, March 28th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Cream City and Milwaukee chapters of the Links Incorporated present the Black Family Wellness Expo at Evolve Church. Free health screenings, mental health resources, nutrition and wellness education, family-friendly activities, trusted community providers, no cost, walk-ins are welcome. Let's strengthen and sustain healthy Black families together. March 28th, Evolve Church. Be there.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
So, Millicent, thank you. I got my schools mixed up. I think the German immersion school, well, I should know. I don't have to think. 82nd in Vienna, does that sound right? The German immersion school? The Milwaukee School of Languages is the one that's on 84th and Burleigh. They all teach language. It's fine, whatever. Daphne says they do need school officers. Some MPS schools are off the chain. I know I go to them at least 3 to 4 times per month. Usually the fights get so out of control, they have to call the police anyway to regain order. Just a fact. Millicent said the Germany immersion is not on 84th and Burleigh. That's the Milwaukee School of Languages. What is this, Rodney? Rodney said at 9:54. God knows what we were talking about then. Could this shut down the strait be intentionally an attack on China's economy by the U.S. without issuing tariffs? China, if they don't have their own oil reserves, get oil from Russia. China's fine. The shutting down of the Straits of Hormuz is a direct attack on the American people. You'll see. You know, some people think like, oh, this is moderately inconvenient that gas prices are going up. Our entire economy is fueled by crude oil. But the Democrat, y'all hate the Democrats because the Democrats are like, yo, we need to get away from this whole oil thing because maybe one day a Middle Eastern country might shut down our supply of oil. Maybe we should look at green energy and clean energy. And the Republicans are like, no, drill more oil. You know it's going to run out, right? But that's neither here nor there. We don't like global warming and science, more oil. And then when we find out that another country has the ability to not just spike gas prices, also keep in mind that the Department of Homeland Security is still shut down. TSA agents, if I'm not mistaken, this is their second paycheck that they are missing. There are some TSA agents that can't go to work because they can't afford to, because not only have they not gotten a paycheck, so expect long lines if you're traveling. Not only have TSA agents not gotten their second paycheck, the gas they need to put in their cars is too expensive. It is soon going to get too expensive to go to work. And if there's somebody that's making $7.25 an hour and gas is also $7 a gallon, but then all of our groceries are going to get more expensive. Anything that arrives via truck, anything that arrives via plane. How do we get our Amazon stuff? And we love the Amazon very much a lot. Amazon trucks, now they got a few electric vehicles, but most of them are powered by fossil fuels. So what Iran is doing is actually very, very smart. What we are doing is very, very dumb, because if our whole economy is fueled by natural gas, petroleum, gasoline, kerosene, all the different petroleum products, and the Straits of Hormuz is closed, we're screwed. Summer season is coming up. That's when a lot of y'all like to take road trips and you like to travel. Gas prices spike naturally because there's more demand. You know, you guys take your little road trips for Memorial Day. Some of you take a road trip for 4th of July. Some of you might even take a little trip, go visit some of your black family for Juneteenth Day. And naturally, gas prices get more expensive in the summer because there's more demand. Imagine if the straits remain closed through the summer. Gasoline will be unaffordable for even higher income individuals. But, you know, don't worry about it. Trump and Pete Hegseth, they got it. I'm sorry, I pronounced his last name wrong. Pete Keg's Breath. Josiah Glenn is charged with battery to a school district officer after allegedly punching the principal of Milwaukee German Immersion School. During a November 2025 late pickup, Glenn reportedly forced his way into the school without identifying himself and struck the principal while fleeing with his brother. I'm going to give you some more details of the story, but just know that Josiah Glenn was not an authorized person to pick his brother up from school. Okay, he was not. There's a list that schools keep of who is authorized to pick children up from school. Josiah Glenn did not inform the school that he would be picking his brother up that day. He went into the school essentially unidentified, and there were a number of school safety that said, hey, we don't know who you are. The principal gets involved. Josiah Glenn punches the principal and leaves with the brother. If there was a police officer there, I assure you, none of that would have happened. But also, we're lucky that and we don't know if the brother was kidnapping his younger brother. We don't know any of that. But all I know is that it happened, and the people in the school failed to keep that child safe. And maybe everything was fine. Maybe it was a miscommunication. Now, he shouldn't have punched the principal. That's not a very nice thing to do. But we have a situation where an unidentified person went into a school, we're presuming unarmed, because if he was armed, it probably would have said so, and just took a child. Talking about things that are on the list of occurrences that should never take place, that's one of them. Because what if that wasn't the brother? What if it was a human trafficker? What if it was somebody else intent on doing harm to that child, and the school staff at the German immersion school were unable to do anything? And I'm sure a bunch of people were probably yelling at Josiah Glenn in German, which probably didn't do any good either. According to the criminal complaint, police were dispatched on November 21st, 2025 to the Milwaukee German Immersion School at 82nd and Vienna to investigate a battery complaint. When officers arrived, they spoke with the principal of the school, who stated the defendant had punched him earlier in the day. The principal told police the defendant came to the school to pick up his brother after school had ended. Normal pickup time is around 4 p.m., but the defendant arrived at 4:25. The brother had been sent to the after-school camp program. A school employee was waiting at the school entrance to confirm the right parents and the right people were picking up the right children, as we would expect those school officials to do. When the defendant arrived and indicated he was there to pick up his brother, the complaint says he refused to identify himself. So at that moment, personally, and of course I wasn't there and I'm not familiar with these kind of matters, if you have somebody refusing to identify themselves but asking for a child at that school, that's when a 911 call should be warranted. The defendant was stopped from entering the school, but the defendant, quote, pushed the school employee and walked inside the school anyway. It's too easy to get into a school, is what I'm starting to gather from this. The defendant did indeed leave with his brother, and the principal ran after them to make sure the brother wasn't being kidnapped and also make sure the defendant left the premises. At the same time, the court filing says the defendant was threatening the principal. Then, before entering a vehicle to leave, the complaint says the defendant got in the principal's face one more time and punched the principal in the face. An investigating officer noted a red mark on the principal's face. So you have a situation where someone walked into a Milwaukee public school that didn't identify themselves, said they were there to pick up a kid, and nobody knew who this person was. Let's think about the failures at so many levels. What if that wasn't, and we don't know what the brother's intentions were. And if, my opinion, if the intentions of, hey, I'm going to go pick up my little brother from school, let me call the school and let them know that I am going to be the one to pick my little brother up. Otherwise, school officials just let a kid go with an unidentified man. I got a real problem with that. Now, we hope that these things don't happen very often. This was a one-off, I'm assuming, but it never should happen. And we got a text message a little while ago, I think, from Daphne that said, the fights are so outrageous at some of the schools. And we know that they are because we see the videos uploaded to social media. If behavior is a problem to where the safety of other adults is in jeopardy, and it is, then we might be forced with having uniform officers in the schools. Now, I'm sure I probably could look up some data and statistics. Does it actually make a difference? Are schools safer? Are there less fights? I highly doubt it. But the time that it takes to have to call the police, because this is a kidnapping. If an unidentified adult goes into because what is the German immersion school? It's not a high school, is it? Probably a middle school, elementary school. If an unidentified person goes into a school and leaves with a child, that's like code red. Like, that's Amber Alert stuff. I'm going to take a break, come back, and I'll check our poll on the other side. My question is, to prevent something like this from ever happening again, now maybe we were lucky that it was the brother, but also the brother punched the principal in the face. If you're an unidentified male going into a middle school and elementary school, asking to take a child with you, and then that person who is unidentified punches the principal in the face, that is something that should have been handled by the police from the beginning. And this is just one odd, unusual scenario. I bet you we have dozens of other scenarios where we would be much better off and everyone would be safer if we had police stationed in these schools. It isn't something we typically discuss because we're often more focused on the performance of the children in the classroom and their test scores, but safety cannot be overlooked, especially if you have if it's easy to go into a public school and just remove a kid without identifying yourself, then we got to fix that problem. Go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device, search 1017 The Truth, hit subscribe, and vote on our poll. Should the Milwaukee Police Department provide safety for our students that attend Milwaukee public schools? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talks stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talks specializes in a range of treatments including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Breaking down the issues that shape our city and our future.
The worst kind of whites, not that I'm picking on white folks, but you know how it goes, is the ones that think that they will lose something if this country becomes more fair and equal. I'm going to say that again. The worst kind of white people are the ones that think that if a black person gets a job and gets an opportunity and they ignore how hard the black person had to work and the racism, the bigotry, and the discrimination, and just how people turn their noses up at smart black people. They hate us. And the black person works really hard and overcomes maybe generational curses of poor health and poverty and all of those things. And we got to deal with the police and the criminal justice system that doesn't often have our backs. And then a black person gets a job, gets an opportunity, and a white person sees that and thinks that they lost. Those are the worst kind.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 to noon. Catch it live on YouTube or tune in to 1017 The Truth.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The plot thickens a little bit. When investigators searched Milwaukee public school databases, it's not funny. This is a very serious thing. Please don't laugh. Even though I'm the only one laughing. So we don't want random people going into schools and being able to snatch kids. Like, that is the overall moral of the story. And it was too easy. And I'm thinking if a police officer was there, not only does it prevent school officials from having to call the police and then having a patrol find its way to the school, and in that amount of time, that child is gone. Now, this wasn't a kidnapping, but it appeared as one, because if school officials are trying to identify an adult, asking for a child, and this adult, who is unidentified, hasn't left their name with the school, didn't call the school, and it would be an easy fix. Maybe the parents weren't available, and the older brother had to pick his younger brother up from school. But the fact that he would not show ID or identify himself, and for those of you saying, oh, well, the younger brother probably said, oh, that's just my big brother. You can't rely on the word of a child, especially a child that's being trafficked, because we don't know if that child is being trafficked or not. Now, in this case, they weren't, but nobody knew that at the time. And so the school officials let this child go with an unidentified man. Can you imagine, just for a second, had that been a sinister actor and we never saw that child again? I assure you that very next day you would have police officers in every single Milwaukee public school. And maybe it's an idea we need to consider, not just to prevent situations like this, but some of the fights and the altercations. And, you got a lot of teachers that get their asses kicked by students. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I once considered entering the profession. No, seriously, I thought about being a teacher. If I was to do so, it would be community college on up. Because if I was in the classroom, especially with high school kids, that can be disrespectful and not have any kind of respect for authority, because these kids talk to adults, not all of them, but it should be none of them. They talk to adults any old kind of way. And I also think that the kids know that teachers, you can't touch them. You cannot put your hands on these kids. Now, that doesn't stop some teachers and administrators from doing so. But the reason why, and I think that is where our young people need the most help, the most guidance, and the most mentorship is at the high school level, really the middle school level, because that's where you lose them. Now we're starting to lose them at elementary school. By the time they get to middle school, lost cause, and by the time they get to high school, it's over. Especially if they enter high school reading on the 3rd or 4th grade level, like they can't do anything. And there's so little respect for adults and authority that these kids will say, like, they threaten teachers all the time. This is why I couldn't be in a high school, because I would punch one of your kids in the face. I also know that, and this is sad, this is nothing to poke fun at. These kids, when they talk to those teachers and principals and administrators like that, and they fight, teachers, principals, and administrators, they do the same thing with their parents. They're doing that stuff at home. And bringing that into the classroom where we're trying to get these children educated and trained so they can be a workforce, and the kids are being violent toward the adults that are there because they care about these kids, is simply unacceptable. And I'd punch a kid in the face. I would be an MPS teacher for 3 periods. My first day would be that Tuesday after Labor Day. My last day would be the Tuesday after Labor Day, because I wouldn't tolerate it.
Should they bring back school spankings?
No, because that's not going to work. And it's kind of like a fetish. Some kids would like it. Some kids might be bad on purpose. Teacher, I stole your eraser. What are you going to do about it? Get over here and bend over my knee. Yes, teacher. I'm sorry, I'll never. Nobody should be hitting anybody, is what I'm trying to say. But the kids know. They know that you can't touch them. And they're incredibly disrespectful. And, like, what do you do? Right? You suspend them. They come back. Nothing has changed. You expel them. Now they lost whatever learning they would have obtained that school year. They're probably already behind. It's a horrible situation. And I'm not saying that putting police in the classrooms will solve all of these problems, but there's got to be a higher level of, and maybe the kids don't respect the cops either. In fact, I know they don't, because they talk to the cops the same way. We just didn't dare. And I know that I'm talking about a time that does not exist anymore. I'm talking about a time in a century that has already passed. But if there are police officers in the schools, I am hoping, at the very least, you can prevent what did appear to be a kidnapping. And imagine the teachers and the administrators, they couldn't do anything when this unidentified person walked out with a kid. Right? Like, what do you do? Do you pretend you're Dukes of Hazzard and go get in the car and you chase them? Like, what? What happens? It says, dig deeper. When investigators searched Milwaukee public school databases, it was determined that the defendant was a former student. The principal also found a previous school identification card photo of the defendant and, quote, confirmed he was the person who punched him. You know what it was? The older brother that picked up the little brother never liked the principal from when he went to German immersion school. Now, here's the thing. This is what I was laughing at before. I didn't punch any of my teachers. None of them. I can honestly say, and I'm thinking real hard now, I can remember a specific day or instance from every year I was in school. Not kidding you. From pre-K to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way up through high school. College, it gets a little fuzzy, but I can remember all of my teachers. I remember all their names, still to this day. I never punched one of them, but I wanted to. There was a couple. You know who I wanted to punch? His name is James T. Harris. You can look him up. He was my world history teacher when I was in the 11th grade at Brown Deer High School. James T. Harris, who you may know as a conservative, he's black. He was a black Trumper before Trump was a thing. James T. Harris used to have a talk radio show on WISN. He has since moved to Arizona. James T. Harris gave me an incomplete in my world history class for no reason other than the fact that he didn't like me and he wanted to make sure I took that class over again. Here's what I also come to find out some years later. James T. Harris told my girlfriend, who was a couple of years younger than me, that she should stop dating me. This is a teacher. Now, here's the thing. He was young. I think when he started at Brown Deer, he was probably 25 or 26, which I got another issue with that, too. I don't think that you should be teaching in a high school unless you are at least 20 years older than the oldest student. You got 23 and 24-year-old teachers teaching 18 and 19-year-old kids. Those are peers. Those are not – you ain't going to respect somebody that's 3 or 4 years older than you. That's a problem, too, because if you look, it's a lot of teachers having sex with a lot of kids. It's happening every single day. Now, because it is more often than not women, and attractive women at that, no, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't ask where those teachers were, because that's sexual assault. That's rape. A boy can't consent. They can't. Just like if a male teacher, and that happens too, it happened in Brown Deer. In fact, I ain't going to say his name. He had just started at Brown Deer my senior year. And he was a coach, and he also, I don't know what he taught. But then they moved him down to the middle school, and he ended up getting fired. This was years after I graduated from Brown Deer, because he was sexting girls on the Brown Deer volleyball team. Like, he was a volleyball coach, but was sexting these 8th grade girls. So if we don't like that, and we don't, then because I've heard it before. I probably even said it, like, oh, where were all these hot teachers wanting to sleep with me when I was in high school? No, that's sexual assault. Because if a man does, it's the same thing. Like, the crime doesn't differentiate. The law doesn't say, oh, well, if it's a hot, attractive woman sleeping with a 14-year-old, it's perfectly fine. No, it's still rape. Why don't we do this? Take a break, come back. We're going to talk to the foremost expert on school safety and security, and I'm glad that we have this person calling in, because I have many, many questions. What can we do to ensure the safety of the staff, of the teachers, of our students, so that we don't have a situation where an unidentified man goes into a school and snatches a child, and the school administrators and principal can't do anything about it, but at the same time not rush the children into the criminal justice system? Because when you have cops in schools, then what hopefully should be resolved by school safety and other teachers now turns into a matter of criminal justice. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Coming with straight truth.
We can do anything when it comes to being organized, when it comes to making sure that we're active, when it comes to making sure that we're holding people accountable and making sure that we get something out of the deal. Y'all don't know how to make deals. Y'all mad at Donald J. Trump because he's trying to make deals or trying to say that he's the master of the art of the deal. Well, okay, what deals is you trying to make?
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
It starts with a spark. At Milwaukee College Prep, they nurture that spark from age 3 through 8th grade, building scholars with knowledge, character, and confidence. 88% of their students face economic hardship, but that does not define them. At MCP, they see students' potential, and they help them live up to that potential. 4 campuses, 1 mission. College and beyond, MCP is free, high-performing, and open to all Milwaukee families. Visit MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com to enroll or get involved. That's MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com.
TruthApp.com.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The world can be a lonely place when you're just a name without a face. You can disappear without a trace and be gone.
Let's talk to. Hi, Bob.
Hello, Sherwin. Starting out already. Man, I just can't win with you. But listen, let me tell you this. When I was coming up, and I got 3 or 4 people I talked to that was in my class in the 8th grade, if you chewed gum in class, her name was Miss Foster. In the 8th grade, she'd have holes in her paddle. And she would, and this guy had gum in his mouth, and she caught him and had him come up in front of the class. And this guy was the second guy that could beat everybody up in the school. There was one that could beat him, but couldn't nobody else beat him in the school. He was about 200 pounds. He was big. This woman was 90 pounds and was laughing and wore his butt out for having gum in the class. It has really changed. Now, the second point, what should we do about it? Here's what we should do about it. Everybody at the school be nice to the student. And he's obnoxious, no matter what. And then they kindly put him in a reform school. I'm sure you heard of reform school. And that reform school do not play with mama, daddy, or kids. Mom and daddy will get their butts whooped if they come up there trying to mess with that and say what they should do. The kids, but the school be nicer.
So just be nice. We got to start by just being nice to the kids. And if that doesn't work, we put them in a reform school where anybody can get it. The kids, the parents, everybody can get punched in the neck. Okay, I like that. I like that neck punching. I like the fact that the parents can get whooped too. Okay, that's perfect. That'll fly.
Ain't nobody coming up to that reform school saying they can. And he got to stay in school until he's 18, irregardless. Whatever he try to do, he can't do it. You in reform, man, they hold that kid down. They do whatever they need to do to make that kid act right. And if the mama come up there, they say, ma'am, could you please leave? And the daddy come up, they'll get 2 guys to whoop his behind if he try to do something.
Oh, the dad's not coming.
Staying in school.
I guarantee the dad's not coming. But okay, I hear you. Whoop.
All right, that's about all I got to say.
That's a good idea, Bob. I like that idea. I'm going to send that to the MPS school board. In fact, I think I'm going to send them the recording of what you just said, and maybe they'll get back to us. We'll just whoop them.
You jiving. You always jive. Talk to you later, you ornery butt.
Damn. He hung up with vengeance.
That was pretty forceful.
The parents sometimes are just as much or more of a problem than the kids. The number of teachers that are leaving the profession, and statistically, because I talked about this before, because we got to analyze many things that are wrong, and Dr. Fuller brought up some excellent points yesterday. The district was designed, like its framework and its structure was built for the 20th century, but we are in our second quarter century of the 21st century. So there's a century mismatch in what is needed and what is required, and until we figure our way out of that, I think we're going to be stuck. But if a teacher that probably has great motivation to want to help children and see them succeed and see them accomplish things in life, if they quit the profession within the first 7 years, which is very common, they never go back to teaching ever again. Ever. And we've entertained a lot of conversations about what young men in particular should do with their lives, and we suggest the trades. And then people call in and, oh, Sherwin, I was a journeyman, and I'm a carpenter and a welder and an electrician. Like, fantastic. But if we don't have teachers, we will not have carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and welders. And when we have the conversation about what young black men in particular should do, because, we need the most guidance out of anybody. People think that, we're the ones that should be told what to do. But we never say what black women need to do. But that's, I guess, a separate or non-existent conversation. None of you are ever telling your children or entering the conversation saying, hey, you know what? We need more of our young people to be teachers. We skip over that part, because I'm also starting to see something else. These folks don't want to teach your kids. I'm going to say our kids because we're all going to be responsible for them. They just don't want to, because it's not worth it. It's not worth the pay. It's not worth the stress, the anxiety, and it's not worth somebody risking your safety. You know what? There's only so many days, I'm only speaking for myself, that I'm going to go to a job in which I feel unsafe. There's only so much bandwidth I have. Imagine the pep talk you got to give yourself walking into work every day, because you literally don't know what may happen. There's only so much you can take, and I don't know if some parents see that these teachers are stressed out. Like, parents are stressed out too. But then now you have a whole nother adult that doesn't even know your child the way you know your child. And your child doesn't respect this other adult. There's no way. So I'm hoping that, and I'll wait for you all to engage me, because, I'll talk about anything with you all if it's solution-oriented. What can and should we do in promoting, because I think the young people that are in school right now could actually make some of the best teachers. The most unruly and disrespectful kids. Think about this now, because if they become teachers, they already know those behaviors that they're going to see because they exhibited those behaviors. It may sound backwards, but hear me out for a second. There is something that is missing from the curriculum, and I don't know what the racial demographics are. I know that in MPS, there's a fairly decent balance when it comes to racial equity in the race of the teachers and the administrators versus the student body, but it wasn't always that way. When you have the classic mismatch, where the majority of the teachers, principals, administrators are white and the student body are black, you got a mismatch right there. And I know I'm supposed to say something like, well, Sherwin, these are the people that want to teach and they want to be in those classrooms. Okay, fair enough. I'm not taking anything away from those people that want to teach. But you can't find me a school in America where the majority of the teachers, administrators, and principals are black and the student body is white. You might have, the best you'll have is like racial equity with majority black teachers, principals, and administrators. But white folks don't want us teaching their kids. They don't. And here's the thing. I don't even blame them. But they teach our kids, though. And I don't know if we appreciate the kind of influence and power that they have over our children. They will never want us. They don't even want us teaching. So when we integrated the schools, which was a sloppy rollout over the last 70 years, when black children were bused into suburban areas to quote-unquote integrate, and there was some white rural and suburban children that were bused into specialty schools at MPS. Vincent was one of those schools. It was built to diversify the MPS school district. Vincent has an agriculture specialty, and they were trying to attract basically farm kids from Menominee Falls and Germantown and Washington County and Waukesha County. That's why Vincent is built where it's built. In fact, when Vincent was built, that was damn near farmland anyway, out there on 91st and Good Hope. But it was mostly black students being bused to suburban schools. Here's what happened. Black teachers that were teaching in segregated majority black schools weren't offered teaching positions in those suburban schools that black children were being bused to. And so what happened since 1970 is we lost $2 billion worth of black teacher income. More importantly, we lost the institutional knowledge that black teachers had when our schools were segregated. The integration thing was not even anything that we wanted. When you have a real, objective look at integration, black schools just wanted the same resources. That's it. It wasn't about, instead of giving black teachers, black schools the same resources, the same money, the same curriculum, or a comparable curriculum, they said, nah, we're not going to give you the money, but we'll require your kids to come out to the schools where the money already is. So instead of us giving you the money, come to where we're already making the investments. And what was not accounted for, or maybe it was, that there was racial strife when a handful of black students from the Central City went to Cudahy or St. Francis or New Berlin West or New Berlin Eisenhower for a couple of periods just to satisfy the requirement to say that they were putting in some kind of effort to integrate the schools. There was, I think it was Michael Holt that told this story. There were situations where they would bus black children to suburban schools and put them in the basement. I'm not kidding you, in a broom closet, in a basement for an hour or two, and then bust them back to their Central City schools. Oh, yeah, we're integrating the schools where the black students wouldn't even interact with the white students because they didn't want to disturb the white students with little black children. All the things that we do in the name of education. I'm going to take a break, come back. The Milwaukee Experience is up next.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
Coming with straight truth.
Did you go along with this? Did you plot this out? Did you go into the store with the intentions of causing a negative situation? This is the part that people don't like once they get into court after they get caught. Now, should he be executed for killing somebody he didn't do? I don't think so. He's already serving life. He's going to die in prison. I think that's what's going to happen. At the same time, this is a message to the younger folks.
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline. for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
When I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, I had so many questions. I didn't even know that it was cancer. Now I do. It is cancer. Blood cancer. It's actually one of more than 100 different types, and they're all treated differently. Now, unlike some other forms of cancer, usually there's no tumor. You can't screen for it to prevent it, and the symptoms can look like other things, so it could be hard to diagnose. I had a fever for weeks. I was so tired all the time. I didn't feel like eating or doing anything else for that matter. And I know that this can feel scary. But if you know what to look out for, you'll know what to tell your doctor. And you'll feel more empowered to take the next steps. Like getting in touch with the people who know the ins and outs and can help with everything blood cancer related. Blood Cancer United. They work one-on-one with each person who reaches out to answer questions and offer resources. Blood Cancer United was there for me, and they can be there for you.
Go to bloodcancerunited.org to learn more.
Get the truth and nothing but the truth with Sherwin Hughes every weekday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 101.7 FM, 1510 a.m. WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. And you know what we do at 11 a.m. on Fridays? It's the Milwaukee Experience, where we tell you about all of the wonderful and Al, come on! Yeah. We tell you about all the wonderful and incredible things that are going on in our fair city, a great place by a great lake. So there's a ton of stuff going on this weekend, but ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going through this infinite list of activities, it's all St. Patrick's Day stuff. So I'm going to give you the lowdown and give you the skinny on all the St. Patrick's Day events. So this is the weekend, I guess the city is celebrating St. Patrick's Day because the actual holiday is on the 17th, which is on a day during the week. But this weekend is going to be the weekend in which all of the St. Patrick's activities come to a head. Because here's the thing. Aren't we all Irish on St. Patrick's Day? I mean, we're all black on Juneteenth, right? So let's give you all the details of what's happening on St. Patrick's Day. I also have a listing of things in case you don't want to drink green beer and you don't want to go on a pub crawl or a bar crawl and you don't want to participate in the St. Patrick's Day parade, which I'm going to give you the route for in just a moment. For my colleagues right down the hallway at WTMJ 620, Milwaukee is turning green this Saturday. And if you're heading downtown, you'll want to plan before the bagpipes start. The 58th Shamrock Club of Wisconsin St. Patrick's Day Parade kicks off at noon on Saturday, March 14th, traveling through downtown Milwaukee's entertainment districts. Now, I'm going to give you the route because these streets are going to be blocked off, just so you know. The parade route begins at Wisconsin and MLK Drive, literally right here in front of the 3rd Street Market Hall. So if you want to participate and partake in the shenanigans of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, bring yourself right on down here to the 3rd Street Market Hall. From there, the parade will travel east on Wisconsin Avenue to Plankington Avenue, then north on Plankington to Kilbourne, west on Kilbourne, back to MLK Drive, north on MLK to Juneau, and east on Juneau to Water Street, ending at Water Street and Highland. Closures will happen in phases, just so you know. At 10 a.m., staging areas will be closed at Wisconsin Avenue, MLK, Vel Phillips, Michigan Avenue, from 3rd Street to Michigan, and Everett Street to 3rd Street. So that is essentially the staging of the St. Patrick's Day Parade. This year, celebrating Milwaukee's Irish heritage, produced by the Shamrock Club of Wisconsin and Westtown Neighborhood Association, the St. Patrick's Day Parade is one of Milwaukee's favorite traditions. Each March, thousands of spectators line the streets of downtown Milwaukee to celebrate our city's rich Irish heritage. The parade route spans 1.5 miles through downtown's entertainment districts and features over 100 units including Irish dance performances, live music, festive floats, Irish wolfhounds, which are very gigantic dogs, and so much more. That kicks off on Saturday. So tonight, Friday, there will be a St. Patrick's Day bar crawl. Milwaukee St. Patty's Day 2026 hits 4+ venues with no cover charge during the crawl hours. Would you guys please be careful and be responsible, though, if you're going to be out drinking all of the green beers and drinking the shots of whiskey and Jameson? We don't need people being irresponsible. I got to put that disclaimer in. Celebrate St. Patty's Day 2026 with a stacked night out in Milwaukee. You and your friends get one simple plan. Hit 4+ participating venues, pay 0 cover charge at participating venues during the crawl hours. There'll be music at bars and clubs playing the hottest tracks all night long. The hottest Milwaukee bars and nightclubs are lined up for a full St. Patrick's Day celebration. Kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Wristbands must be picked up by no later than 10:30 p.m. For more information, go check out visitmilwaukee.org. And if you're, not in the mood for St. Patrick's things, we have a collection of museums and art museums in this city that rivals that of what you may see in cities across the globe. I want to share with you a bunch of these incredible art museums if you want to take in, a little more culture exploring Milwaukee's weekend of St. Patrick's Day, but don't want to deal with the crowds and the blocked off streets and the parade. But first, let's talk to... Hey, Al, do you have anything to share during the Milwaukee experience? I'm going to regret asking that question.
I was going to let you... Well, no, I was going to let you handle that. But what I was going to ask you when you were talking prior, you said you had a big back German. My question to you, was you taking her in the coat room and not telling nobody?
Al, that's not...
What?
That's not appropriate. I was...
Oh, well,
no,
I'm just saying. Well, anyway. Oh, okay. Well, hey, okay. All right, so anyway, what I was going to say in reference to the teachers, right? In reference to the teachers, it's going to take the parents and the...
Let me pause my music.
And
Go
the
ahead.
principal... And the principal's going to have to back the teachers. But the administration going to have to stop effing up the money like they messing with some bad dope. Now, if Cash App Cody and Leah got good throat, is not acting right, they should not be allowed back in the class. Okay? Not until the mother come or the father come, and then when they come back, they have to go to that class where the slow kids go. And then they're going to have to earn their way back into the classroom by being a 3-point student or a 4-point. But if they don't work out, they got to stay at home. And the other thing for the teachers, y'all going to have to stop looking at the youth because y'all seeing all that stamina and that energy. And y'all can get that in your own age group. You're just going to have to get you some watermelon, some beets, some lemon, and some ginger to get your stamina up. But y'all got to stop looking at the babies because all y'all seeing is youth and stamina. And then you can kind of have some type of incentives for the new upcoming teachers. But the reason why we're not having that because everybody who keep asking for all this money is putting the money in their pocket. It's like a crackhead. They got some good dope, got a good job, but they forever broke. But they always asking for money. And then going back to the schools, with all the chaos going in the schools, the teachers there, the cops, the police there, is making it an uneasy feeling. But I think Cavalier doing that because he's catering it to his base. Because if it was some schools where they have like high crack, high cocaine, or, where all the gym boys came down with syphilis, he probably wouldn't do that because he know them parents would, bag him up in one of them aluminum foil bags and kick him out. So I think he's just catering to his base. But if we, if the teachers and the parents do their part, I think the school can be a wonderful thing. But the administration got to stop wearing out their welcome because they acting like they got an addiction problem. And they acting like they messing with some bad dope with too much fentanyl. But I just wanted to share that information. And maybe this weekend, Mr. Hughes, you go out and get you a German woman, too. You ever thought about that? Because I know you got a big seat in the back of that Tesla.
To answer your
What do you
question,
think about
if
that?
I've ever thought about getting a German woman, absolutely. Jawohl, yeah.
Yeah, just
Yes,
just have, y'all have y'all nice beer. Your seats is pretty. You got them warm seats in the back, and just maybe have her get in the back seat. Do it in the parking garage, and just say, hey, put your legs to your chest like a turkey, and take your other hands and spread them lips open, because I want to see that wet circle downstairs. And then y'all can share liquor contents. Well, anyway, y'all have a safe weekend and be good and be great. And never pull out too early. And if you're already in it, just let it loose.
Happy St. Patrick's
Have a great
Day.
weekend,
All right,
everybody.
you too. Okay, now. Thank
All right,
you.
bye-bye.
All right.
How do you follow up after that?
The Milwaukee Art Museum's world-class collections and iconic architectural design feature the Brise du Soleil wings, make it a must-see destination. Discover masterpieces by the likes of Chiloui, O'Keeffe, Picasso, and Rothko, not to mention entire collections of Haitian and folk art. This is St. Patrick's Day weekend, or the weekend in which we are celebrating it here in the city of Milwaukee. It's a lot of different things going on, but in the event that you want to do something, a little more low-key, relaxed, calm, and cultured, with or without a German woman, you can escape to the Villa Terrace Decorative Art Museum, where stunning gardens overlook Lake Michigan and the world's largest Cyrillic metalwork collection awaits. Peruse the Haggerty Museum of Art at Marquette University, showcasing everything from Renaissance paintings to contemporary works, or uncover the artwork at the Groman Museum, my personal favorite museum in the city. This unique collection at the Milwaukee School of Engineering explores the evolution of human labor through paintings, sculptures, and other works on paper. Discover Wisconsin's art in the city and beyond. Visit Museum of Wisconsin Art's Urban Outpost at the St. Kate. Beautiful works at the St. Kate if you've never been. It's in downtown Milwaukee, or if you want to leave the city altogether, travel to West Bend, where its main location, the mothership, resides. And just a short drive south, the Racine Art Museum awaits with its impressive contemporary craft collection and engaging art-making activities. That's totally optional. Unleash your creativity and explore art in so many new ways, from hands-on classes to outdoor sculptures and artist-built environments. There's a one-of-a-kind experience for every art lover in the city of Milwaukee. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody, and please, if you're going to drink responsibly. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Truth Nation is the best fan base in the country.
Been listening to you guys for probably a month. It's some change now, and this is one of my favorite radio shows. And I'm 24, so I used to think talk shows was like an old head thing, and y'all got me hooked.
Welcome to Truth Nation. We want you to tap into the talk and text line every show, every day at 833-212-1017. Milwaukee Black Talk, 1017 The Truth.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always know they belong. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, build a budget, improve your credit, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. In fact, they've helped over 4,000 families become homeowners right here in the city of Milwaukee. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axhousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home. Woo! Limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun. Woo! Ric Flair is coming to Milwaukee March 27th at the Riverside Theater. Thanasis Antetokounmpo hosts Thanalysis Live with WWE Hall of Famer and global icon Ric Flair. Oh, this isn't a cameo. This isn't a 5-minute interview. This is a full live show. High energy, unfiltered storytelling, behind the scenes moments you've never heard. And if you know Thanasis, you know he's bringing the juice, the energy, the laugh, the surprises. And when Ric Flair grabs the mic, woo, anything can happen. Tickets are limited. Don't wait. Lock yours in now at thanalysisnow.com. Thanalysis Live, March 27th at the Riverside Theater, presented by Gruber Law Offices and Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Woo! I'm going to actually go to that. Check out Ric Flair. He was a bit of an icon back in the day.
Did you like him more than Ass Man?
So, Badass Billy Gunn was after I was awakened to what professional wrestling actually is. I outgrew it. You know, but we all, when we were kids, you know, if you're of a certain generation, we all watched the Hulk Hogans and the Junkyard Dogs and the Hacksaw Jim Duggan and whatever. There was one guy that used to do poems, which was weird. He'd come out and read a poem, then he'd get beat up. What was his Leaping Lanny Poffo? Is that the guy that used to wear the little light blue panties and read a poem on the back of a Frisbee and he'd throw the Frisbee into the crowd?
That's before my time. I'm like the 90s. I'm like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know, Undertaker, stuff like that. That's what I'm more familiar with.
So Stone Cold brought a little machismo back to professional wrestling. Machismo and alcoholism, too, you know, because you got to start an athletic wrestling match by slamming a beer. And so this sends a very important and appropriate message to children that are watching, to young people that are looking up to Stone Cold Steve Austin. You will improve your athletic performance if you're at least a sixer or so in. You know what I mean? So there you go. Let's talk to. Hi, Miss Nikki. How are you?
Hi, Sherwin. I'm wonderful. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to say I really enjoyed the interview yesterday with Dr. Howard Fuller and Celeste, and I wish it was longer. I was hoping it was going to be longer because I scheduled my work day around it just so I can listen, right? But yeah, just to hear that, and I remember slightly when Dr. Howard Fuller was superintendent, and I kind of know some of the reasons why he left, but just to hear that the state of the education for black students in Milwaukee has been going on for decades, man, it sickens me, right? And it's like, the fact that there is really no plan in place currently to turn around, I always start to think about, like, what do we do? It's like, if there's no plan in place, we know that, our kids are being, our kids are now, those kids are now adults, right, are now in the community, they're in the workforce, and we have a problem with literacy in Milwaukee. A huge percentage of the adults are functionally illiterate, right? So it's like, what do we do at this point? What can we immediately do to kind of turn the page to start to make some type of adjustments or something? Because right now it feels like we are staying stagnant, and we're constantly producing individuals from Milwaukee Public Schools and other surrounding schools, because I heard Celeste say it's not only Milwaukee Public School that's performing, below standards. There's some charter schools and there are some choice schools, right? So it's like, what do we do, like, immediately to ensure that, like, the next generation or students even the following years are coming out and they're functional and they can add to the workforce? Because if we're not addressing the issue and has consistently have gotten worse, it's going to take so much more resources and supports to make it better. So I was just really thinking about the interview yesterday. I just want to kind of propose that question because I think I asked you before, and I believe you said the only thing that we can really do is leave the district or leave those schools, and it's like, where else do parents go? I really do think the sad point about this is that those of us that understand the issues with education in Milwaukee, we know how to navigate it, right? We know what schools to send our kids to. We know what schools not to send our kids to. We know what resources that are out there and how to access those and utilize those to just make sure that our kids are getting a quality education. But for those parents that don't, those kids are suffering. They're suffering. And so when I speak up on education, I'm not speaking for myself. I'm a grandma now, right? And my daughter's a teacher now. So I'm like, we understand what to do and how to navigate those systems. But my thing is, how do we get this information out? And how do we teach parents how to do it? Because sending some of these schools, Sherwin, I don't know when the last time you walked through some of these schools, but I've been in some of those schools, and I think like this: there is no way possible, especially those high schools, that a parent is really sending their kids to these schools, think their kids are being educated or what's happening. So I know this is a loaded question. My mind is all over the place, but because I deeply care about education and just hearing what was said yesterday just really sickens me. I don't know where do we go? What else do we do? What can we do as a community at this point?
Well, in the short term, the only thing I guess a parent who's concerned can do is actually leave. And some parents do. They'll move out of Milwaukee or they'll find an opportunity to send their child to a better school district, which is the first act of school choice, because we know they'll move out of state to make sure their kids have a better education. In a little bit more of the longer term, we don't vote for school board. And so you'll have people that are running. This is the legislative body that can have a profound impact on how we treat students, how we discipline students, what the curriculum is, how we shape the curriculum. And because our participation is so low in school board meetings, oftentimes it is candidates that's supported by the teachers union. Let's be clear, they don't always have our children's best interest in mind because they got to protect their members, and I get that. But if we are not voting for representation on the school board, then that's got to fall on us. The other problem that we have to look at, Nikki, is we don't have enough people in positions in the city of Milwaukee that have received value from their education. If somebody graduated from high school and they went to college and they got a great job or they're an entrepreneur, they can share that story. Here's the problem. Those people leave because they see that there are diminished opportunities for educated black people in the city of Milwaukee. Now, there's some, but there's not nearly enough. How many folks do we know that moved to Atlanta, they moved down to Texas, they moved to Washington, D.C., or even to Chicago because the opportunities there are much more robust for somebody that has an education? So we're losing like an institutional brain trust of educated black people that can be examples of what education can actually do. And because we're dealing with like our third, if not fourth generation of MPS, I'm not even going to say graduates, MPS attendees that graduated from high school illiterate. And there was some statistics I was reading, I think it was last week. A child's performance, other than, so we're going to take out zip code, poverty, like those things don't even matter because we say, oh, if the kids are poor, they can't learn. The mama's level of literacy is the single biggest determining factor of how well that child is going to do in school. Now, if we think back to the late 80s and the 90s, one of the reasons why Dr. Fuller left, because he realized as superintendent, he couldn't do anything about what the real problem was the lack of education black children were receiving. People that were in the district at that time, that if they graduated, they were functionally illiterate, and those people are parents and also grandparents. But if those mamas and grandmamas were illiterate and didn't see the value of education, their children and grandchildren are going to follow suit. So I don't know if I proposed any solution there, but I think we can start politically. So Aisha Carr was a godsend because she spoke truth to not just other board members, but also to us. In fact, she and I had, and you asked me when was the last time I've been to a school, she and I had a date on the calendar where there was a school, I cannot think of the name of the school for the life of me. I think it's near like 35th and Kilbourne, where she told me that there was a school where for a particular class, there was the teacher stopped coming to school, and a parent would come to school every single day and sit with those kids in the classroom. A parent that was not an authorized teacher, not a licensed teacher, but because the teacher literally stopped showing up, this parent was like, I don't want these kids to be in this classroom by themselves. We had a time in which I was going to meet her after my radio show, and I need to see this for myself because there's no way that this was going to go on. The administration blocked me from going to the school. Yeah. They said that I was prohibited from taking it. Like, oh, no, the school's got a water main broke or it's under construction. So it's probably worse than some people think. But to answer your question, I did try to go to a school, but they didn't allow me in. The next thing I know, probably, 2 months after that, Aisha Carr was indicted. So go figure. But we're still going to keep our foot on the gas, Nikki.
Absolutely, absolutely, Sherwin. So thank you for that. And last time I was in the school, I'm not going to mention the school, I was walking through a high school, and there was 2 young ladies sitting in the hallway. And I always ask this. Whenever I see a kid not in class, inside the school and out of school, I always ask, why aren't you in the classroom? The 2 young ladies said, we're done with our work, and the teacher cannot control that classroom, so we're sitting out here waiting for the next class. Wow. My God. So those are the things that we're dealing with. So folks, I mean, people got to get out there. You got to go and see what's happening at your kid's school. We can no longer just send our kids to these schools and just leave it upon the teachers to educate the kids. It's a collaboration. But if you see what's happening in these schools, my goodness, you will be, if you haven't been in a school, an NPS school lately or any school lately, people need to go. Because it's not the schools that we had when we were inside a school. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. The kids don't act the same. It's totally different. So thank you so much, Sherwin.
All right, thank you, Miss Nikki. Appreciate your call. I cannot think of the name of that school for the life of me. But because we had to get special access, or I had to, because I'm not, they don't just allow visitors apparently, and whatever access I needed to tour this school, and obviously the principal knew. I'm a talk radio host. I was going to tour school where there's no teacher, and everybody knows there's no teacher. A parent, because I wanted to talk to the parent, like, you're not getting paid, don't you as a parent? I think that parent had a child that was in whatever that class was, and the child came home and said, Mama, my teacher just stopped coming to work. And the parent was like, well, then I'm going to at least sit there while the kids are in the class. But yeah, I was prevented from going. Because could you imagine my radio show the next day after I toured a school where a teacher just literally stopped coming to work? Then here's what's crazy, because the union is so strong, that teacher probably has protection from getting fired, even though they don't come to work. Because the teacher can probably say, oh, I've got a lot of mental stress. It's dangerous. I don't feel safe. But the fact that there was no substitute teacher made it all the worse. We have to do this, ladies and gentlemen. We as a community, because we can't look to somebody else or a political party to prioritize things that are going to help black children specifically. We have to do that. We have to see it as important enough, because they will be asking for our vote. And we're going to say stuff like, oh, we want more money and better health insurance. Yeah, great. But if our kids can't read, they're unemployable. I pay attention to things that I probably should not. Where the overwhelming functional illiteracy rears its head. And I'm using this as an example because it's everywhere. Look at how people type out comments when they're commenting on something on social media. That is how some people actually understand grammar. I'm serious. And this cuts across race because there's white people that's illiterate too now. 54% of the American population is functionally illiterate. Newspapers can't be written at higher than a 6th grade level. You would think like, oh, so 6th grade kids can read them? No, so adults can. Look at the way people spell and their grammar. And you got spell check. But it shows how illiterate some people, can't even form a normal sentence. I'm going to take a break, come back. We'll talk to Marvin on the other side. I only got 30 minutes of show left. I got a whole bunch of stuff I need to discuss. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Grab the dial and crank it up, baby, because Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee is spinning its Winning Hits collection. Over the next 3 months, you could win a share of over $1 million in prizes. On top of thousands in cash and reward play, you could win one of 3 new Ford vehicles in the grand finale drawings on March 27th. Just play with your rewards card to earn entries. Press play on the Winning Hits collection, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
The Humane Animal Welfare Society, HAWS, believes in keeping pets healthy and families together. No one should have to choose between rent and veterinary care. The Wellness Clinic at Hawes Animal Shelter in Waukesha offers important basics of dog and cat care to our community. Pet owners can schedule general exams, sick visits, receive vaccinations, even get preventatives and nail trims. Appointments are available weekdays and can be scheduled by calling 262-542-8852. Contact Hawes of Waukesha today for your pet's care.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Thank you, Milwaukee. Because of you, the second annual Truth Community Awards was an unforgettable celebration of the leaders, changemakers, and heroes who make our city shine. A special thank you to our incredible partners, Milwaukee College Prep, the Milwaukee Bucks Foundation, Gruber Law Offices, Steinhoffels, Cousins Subs, and 3rd Street Market Hall. And thank you to our presenting sponsor, Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Together, we're celebrating community, culture, and impact. We'll see you next year at the Truth Community Awards. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Make sure you join me next Friday at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience. Exclusively with me, Sherwin Hughes, and presented by Visit Milwaukee. Milwaukee knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals, the plates are piled high with flavor, and lakefront sunrises set the stage for unforgettable days. Here in Milwaukee, every street leads to something worth savoring. It's a place that welcomes you with open arms, where joy is shared through bites of delicious food, beats from our favorite musicians, and cheers from our sports teams. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. Yeah, somebody texted in and said, Sherwin, we don't care about St. Patrick's Day. It's all that's going on, though. Because trust me when I tell you, I looked for events in the African-American community. It's like after Black History Month, all the black organizations like, we're done. We're not doing anything this weekend. And there's places that I can't always recommend. And I take that very seriously. Please hear me out when I tell you. Because there are some places where, you know, your safety might be in question. And what I don't want to do, and I got to be real careful with this, I don't want to recommend a place you guys go and then something happens. One of the reasons why I don't do Beyond the Mic anymore, it got too complicated, too difficult. There was too much risk and liability. I'm not going to name the establishment, but one of the venues that we had narrowed down, we ultimately did our last Beyond the Mic in Mr. B's on Brown Deer Road. But the other venue that we were considering, there was a shooting that night of our Beyond the Mic. Now, luckily, we were out in Brown Deer. We were way away from downtown. It was an establishment, African-American owned establishment downtown. There was a shooting and a homicide literally 2 doors down. And I can't be involved in recommending and I love hanging out with y'all. You guys are so much fun. You're incredible people to kick it with. But I can't recommend a place where somebody's going to get shot. Even though I didn't have anything to do with it. It's not like we planned for those things to happen. But if it does happen and somebody gets hurt because they came to an event that we sponsored, I just would never be able to forgive myself. So I don't want the liability of it. Maybe we'll get something together again. But here, why don't we do this? Because I brought this up to y'all, and then y'all got quiet. Because everybody's asking, oh, Sherwin, when are you going to do another Beyond the Mic? Why don't you all plan something, then invite me? Because then the liability is on y'all. Because then, hell, I might be the one getting shot. But if there is a Good Karma Brands or 101.7 The Truth sanctioned event and something happens, now, again, it wouldn't be our fault, but I would still bear some responsibility, especially if one of our attendees got hurt. And I remember that night, it was the night that Tweezy got murdered. I'm almost positive. Because Tweezy was on Tory's show that Wednesday. He was killed on a Friday. Our Beyond the Mic was on a Friday. In fact, Tory Lowe's Walk Against Violence was that Saturday. And Tweezy was on with Tory saying that he was looking forward to joining Tory that Saturday for Tory's March Against Violence, but Tweezy was murdered the night before. And I think that shook me up too. Like I can't recommend places where, and it wouldn't be us, it wouldn't be our attendees, but it could just be some fool 2 doors down, you know? So, I don't know. Maybe we'll do something this summer. Or you guys pick a place and then invite me. Actually, you know what? You all would probably pick a place and wouldn't invite me. You'd invite Al, though. It's a line of people to meet and to take pictures with Al. Men and women, believe it or not. Let's talk to a patiently waiting Marvin. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Sherwin, how's it going?
Going pretty good. What's on your mind, Marvin?
There's a lot on my mind. It's getting hard to do God's work out here. When you look at Aisha Carr's situation, she was in the process of getting her life-threatening doors kicked. That's why she really lived on the other side of town. Because if you have no protection on the side you're supposed to live in, you feel more comfortable on the other side of town. Plus, she was just about to release the sex scandal that's been going on in the PS. I highly recommend.
Wait, hold on.
Let me continue, please, sir. I highly recommend the superintendent to do her cleanup because the powers that be is still touching and exploiting the kids. It's a lot of trauma in PS, as well as the teachers are involved in different things they shouldn't be involved in. And a federal investigation was launched. It is going on right now. Sometimes we let things out when we have to. And the powers that be in Milwaukee, we listen to you every day. And Sherwin, check your Ring camera one day and just do live and just listen to some of the things you hear. And it's a public announcement.
Hold on, man. Wait. Marvin? Marvin?
He just dropped a couple bombs on you there.
Please don't tell me there's a sex scandal going on at MPS. Please don't do that. We don't need that. Hold on.
Sounds like that one call. Remember that guy that called? He had like the police at his door. He was talking about dropping off tapes.
That's who that was. That was like a year ago.
Yeah,
He was on the phone with us while the police came to his house. And he ended up he's like, should I get in the car with the police? Because they wanted to take him down to the station. And he got in the car with the police. Okay, is everybody okay? It's Friday. Oh, it's Friday the 13th. That's got something to do with it. Let's talk to Derek. You're on 101.7 The Truth. Oh, Derek, how are you?
Well, I'm doing well, Sherwin. I want to tell you something. I really appreciate you bringing up the literacy that they have across it's not just Milwaukee, but I do construction across the country. And I went to one of the neighborhood meetings, and they were building some kind of a light rail in L.A., and the guy was saying, you know something, they would tell people to do things like read things, and then they'd have to come back there and they'd have to knock them down because people, they were finding a lot of people were illiterate even when they were doing construction, like adding or subtracting or doing something like that. And it was causing they said it was costing them a lot of money, and especially when you got to rip up things or tear down things. And there was they didn't realize they were having a real bad crisis when it came to literacy, and I think that's just unfortunately it's just nationwide. Are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, but like I said, I appreciate you talking about the literacy crisis. That's a lot more. It's a lot. I mean, this ain't being able to read when you're doing construction or something, and being able to comprehend what they want you to do. A lot of people are having issues even doing that.
I have to wonder how a construction company that has to use math and calculations and architecture and engineering, why they are hiring people that are illiterate. So some of that has got
they didn't know
fall.
They didn't know. Let me explain something. They didn't know the person was illiterate. I mean, some of the people can. Isn't
there like a process?
They would tell.
Like when you get hired.
No, there was they were building. They were building these. I don't know if you're aware of. They were building these. Doing some work in the city of Los Angeles.
Oh, the work in Los Angeles.
Trying to help some of the people
actually, that's right. I follow that. That's right. They're building the light rail system in Los Angeles, and it was a big construction project. Yeah, I've got all the notes.
Yeah, and they were just talking about the guy at the meeting was just saying that, you know, something, they hired the people because the people coming in, they could read some, but when it came to comprehending, what do you call it? Reading comprehension?
Yeah, that's when you comprehend the reading. It's called reading comprehension when you got to read something and comprehend it. It's reading.
Yeah, and they were having issues. They were having a lot of issues with that because they would tell them that they were giving instructions, and the people they'd have to come back there and knock down the whatever they had constructed because they had been done wrong. The concrete had been poured wrong. This had been done wrong. And he said it actually wound up costing lots of money because you had to redo something that you thought was done the right. It was done the first time correct, but it was wasn't done correct at all. So I appreciate you bringing that up. It's not this. I mean, it's very costly when you have. People who are not, I guess, functionally, they can read some, but they're functionally illiterate or something like that. Then some guy told me he was.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you.
One more thing, and then some guy was telling me that he was running a job in Florida, and he had a bunch of people. They were very, very good welders, and they got so bad that. He had to fill out their applications because they were because they could barely write their own name.
Then they should have been hired, Derek. That's the solution to that. Because if you're playing with a torch and melting metal and you can't read, and somebody else has got to fill out your application, then that you probably should hire people.
Well, they were very good welders, and they've been welding since they were 14 years of age.
Can't read, you can't be a good welder.
Oh, you kidding me? They were very good welders. I mean, if you've been welding for years, because you're just taking a...
Don't you have you can't just get the fire and the torch. You got to have some instructions. Okay, all right, thank you, Derek. All right, then.
Okay, take care.
Oh, okay. I actually was running an experiment with Derek. I wanted to see exactly how long someone could extend what should have been a 20-second conversation. They can't read very good, and then they had to tear it all down. Yeah, it was in L.A., and they tore it down, and I'm glad you brought up the topic, because in L.A., they had poured the concrete, and then they had to tear it all down, because glad you brought it up. Is that what circular reasoning is, where you just keep...
I think I just need to do a better job at screening the calls, probably.
No, it's not your fault. They're going to get through. They're going to get through. And plus, eventually people will catch on, because they'll realize if they say what they're actually calling about and you say, oh, no, I'm not going to take that call, then they'll just lie and say they're going to talk about something else. And then once they get on with me, it's Sherwin, there's a sex scandal at NPS.
There was a lot of meat on that bone. I think we should delve a little bit deeper into what his logic was.
Now that I am putting two and two together, so Martin has been here a number of times. There was one day where, I'm walking out of the side door to leave, and he waited for me. That happens quite a bit, and it's not cool. People know where I walk out. I don't go that way anymore, but people, wait for me. He's like, Sherwin, I have all the tapes in my bag. I'm like, yo, I'm going home. And he followed me to my car. It wasn't cool. All right.
Sounds scary.
Yeah, I've had people come to my house before.
At your CCWs?
I don't want to shoot anybody. I mean, that's a big commitment.
Yeah, it's $63.
Yeah, but if I'm going to shoot somebody, I don't need a CC. That's if I'm going to shoot somebody in public. Sherwin is not going to go to a place where I think I may even need a firearm. My best advice is, if you think you need a gun to go somewhere, don't go to that place at all. But if you're going to carry in a place where you would never think in a million years you would need a firearm. But there's too many irresponsible people, and even because concealed carry doesn't test your mental fitness to shoot somebody. We got cops that have years and decades of training, and sometimes they don't know when to shoot somebody. I definitely don't trust some of y'all. Well, I didn't like the way he looked at me, so I shot him in his neck. No, thank you. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
One of the best things about the holidays is going home and spending time with family and friends. One of the worst things, getting there. Holiday travel can be tough, especially driving. If you or a loved one needs help after an accident this holiday season, we're here for you. Our top-notch team of experienced professionals is available 24/7. Be safe this holiday season. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Walk in for a suit, walk out with two. It's buy one, get one half off throughout March at Nick-A-Vani's. Suits, blazers, hats, jeans, and more. Everything you need from a hands-on team that styles you from head to toe. Find a suit, add shoes for half the price. Land a perfect two-piece set? Now add a vest for 50% less. Prom, weddings, galas, whatever's on your calendar, now's the time to stop in to Nick-A-Vani's. Second floor at Mayfair Mall across from AMC. Buy one, get one half off throughout March at Nick-A-Vani's. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something that's bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. See, owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, birthdays are celebrated, and where they always know they belong. See, it's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan and build a budget and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and you could be next. So don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axhousing.org. That is AACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home. That was beautiful.
Very smooth.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have a lot of years of experience. I've been doing radio a long time. Still fun. Until it isn't. Let's start with Ronald Reagan. Estimated mortality impact of U.S. presidential policies because voting is life or death. And it started out as I was doing a comparison between, which is apples and oranges, sports talk radio versus this. What is this? Personality, political, social talk radio, whatever it is. If the Green Bay Packers make a couple of good or bad trades and maybe they go or don't go to the Super Bowl, nobody dies if the Packers don't go to the Super Bowl. Nobody's life is saved if they do. But if the wrong president gets elected, the consequences can be in American mortality, starting with Ronald Reagan. The AIDS crisis, response and delays. Public health historians estimate tens of thousands of additional deaths due to delayed federal action in the early 1980s. U.S. AIDS deaths rose from a few hundred in 1981 to 100,000 by the time Ronald Reagan left office. Also, the drug war escalation, mandatory minimum sentencing, and enforcement increased incarceration and indirectly worsened the overdose and HIV transmission risks. It is estimated that Ronald Reagan and his presidency and his poor policies were responsible for 100,000 American deaths. Next, George W. Bush from 2001 to 2009. 4,500 U.S. military deaths and large numbers of civilian casualties. 1,800 deaths from Hurricane Katrina, directly attributed to the disaster and poor response by the Bush administration. American deaths directly attributed to George W. Bush, 7,000. Barack Obama, what did he do? How many people did he kill? Policies that saved lives in the Obama administration. Medicaid expansion alone saved 27,400 lives from 2010 through 2022. Earlier estimates found 19,000 lives were saved in just the first 4 years. EPA and transportation regulations projected to prevent thousands of traffic deaths. No, that's not EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. Auto safety rules, pollution standards, and tobacco regulation. During the Obama administration, he was plus 100,000 lives that were saved. Drone warfare, civilian deaths, that's not even in America. They said the drone warfare during the Obama administration killed 2,000 people, but his policies actually saved and extended the lives of 100,000 people. Uh-oh, Donald Trump first term. COVID-19 pandemic response. Researchers estimate 40% of U.S. COVID deaths would have been prevented if the U.S. had a COVID response similar to other G7 countries. During Trump's administration, early pandemic deaths exceeded 450,000, those that are directly attributed to Donald Trump's COVID policies. Remember when he said to inject bleach and was serious? The city of Milwaukee health commissioner at the time, whose name is escaping me. Damn it, what was her name, y'all? She's a black woman. She was the first black woman. Why am I forgetting her name? She called me to do a broadcast to make sure that people weren't listening to the president and injecting bleach. Do you know when Trump said that there were increased calls to poison control? As ridiculous as that sounds. What was her Jeanette Kowalik. That was her name. She's like, Sherwin, did you see what the president just said? I was like, yep. You got to do a broadcast and tell people not to inject bleach because it'll kill them. Environmental deregulation. Rollbacks linked to 22,000 pollution-related deaths during Trump's term. During Donald Trump's first term, 400,000 people died. Joe Biden, 2021 through 2025. Estimated lives saved due to his COVID response between 300,000 and 500,000. During the Biden administration, there were 13 military deaths in the Kabul attack. Joe Biden had a strongly positive impact on Americans living longer. And then, well, Donald Trump's USAID reduction in funding is going to cause 14 million deaths globally. And don't forget, Trump is just getting started. Oh, and we're in a war. So the overall deaths caused by Donald Trump's second term is still being determined. Thank you for listening. Have a great St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Thank you, Milwaukee. Because of you, the second annual Truth Community Awards was an unforgettable celebration of the leaders, changemakers, and heroes who make our city shine.